obviously I like this uncomfortableness, right?
Right.
So what happens when you like uncomfortableness? Then you're liberated, right?
Everything's comfortable, yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
You're
right?
free.
Yo, what is up, guys? Wow, I'm excited. Oh man, so I'm here with Dawson from Eat More Plants. He has an Instagram, he has a YouTube. Check him out, all right? I was lucky enough to have him contact me on Instagram and offer to feed me an amazing vegan meal. And of course I requested sushi because it is my favorite meal of all time. And so you're telling me that this entire feast is all vegan?
100%.
Wow. So look at this.
Sir.
I mean, we have this incredible like eel made out of mushroom. We have tempura. It's just amazing. It looks like a real sushi feast. Of course, it is real, but it's all plant-based, which is absolutely, it's just incredible. It's blowing my mind. And that's the one thing that I've missed since I've been vegan for about a year now. And I've missed my epic sushi feasts. And so Dawson, like, thank you so much for allowing me to have this incredible sense of nostalgia.
No problem.
I'm just so excited, man. I can barely even
I'm pumped.
speak.
I'm excited right now. I've been working on this since 7 a.m. this morning. Man, this is a lot of food. Connor thinks he's gonna put it all down in one sitting, and I'm telling you, if he does this, I'm gonna be impressed, because I don't think so. I just don't see it happening, because it's so much. But
if I had to guess, I'd say, geez, it has to be like 7,000 calories on this table right now.
At least. It's probably more.
Yeah,
with the tempura
You're right,
all this
dude,
stuff, with the avocados.
So we're probably looking at, what, 4,000 calories a piece if we can finish all this. So
let's do this.
Let's do this, man. So we're going to do a little mukbang for you guys, and we'll dig in. We'll talk about some interesting stuff, and let's just dig in, dude. I can't wait. So what should I start with, man?
Start with anything you want, but let me just tell them what we're eating here. So right here, we got some vegetable tempura. We got sweet potato tempura, king oyster mushroom tempura. We got broccoli tempura, okra. We got a variety of different mushrooms. So right here is, let's see if y'all can see that. We got some vegan seared scallops. They're made from king oyster mushroom. We got oyster mushroom, enoki mushroom, shiitake mushroom. Over here we got some inari avocado rolls. We got vegetable roll with seared king oyster mushroom coins over the top with the spicy mayo. We got some inari, which is tofu pouches. Right here we got the sweet potato tempura, mango avocado roll, peanut avocado roll. We got the fresh roll with the spicy mayo, chopped peanuts, and jalapeno, as well as a vegetable tempura roll with the spicy mayo, and just a bunch of other stuff. We got a tomato tuna right here, made from tomatoes. It's gonna blow your mind. We got eggplant. It's gonna be amazing, y'all. Let's not waste any more time here. Let's get right into this.
Wow. I feel like I got to start with the mushrooms. As my audience, they probably know I'm a big fan of mushrooms. So which one should I start with? Which one do you think is the best?
Honestly, bro, this scallop will blow your mind. Just try that scallop.
Right,
let me know what you think.
Go for it.
And for my viewers, this is Connor Murphy. He's a local Austin YouTuber, and he does fitness, and he does a lot of things, spirituality, man. You know, he has a lot of different variety of content, and yeah, we just wanted to network and collab with someone new. So just wanted to introduce you so they know who you are.
Cheers.
Hey, let me get one real quick. Hey, let's cheers real quick.
Let's do it, dude.
Oh, shoot.
These scallops, wow. All right.
Cheers, brother. Soy sauce right here.
Let's do it. Oh.
Get you a bite of this, y'all. Take this to the dome.
Dude, that's wild, dude. That tastes just like scallop. Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, man. The texture, right?
Yeah, it's just like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild, dude. Wow.
It's amazing.
This is the thing. Once you know what you're doing in the vegan kitchen, you can make all the foods that you love that taste just like meat or even better, right? I mean, there's essentially just one thing holding most people back, and it's just like they like meat. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of bodybuilders, they think, oh, like I need to get my protein. On a well-planned vegan diet, not only will it taste just as good, if not better, because throughout my experience, I've learned to eat food that tastes even better than my old diet. Like I like my diet now better than ever before.
Absolutely.
And
you know, it's introduced me to so many new flavors that I probably would have never tried if I never went vegan. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And so you guys should hop on board because this is the direction reality is heading. All they have to do, right? One, they make meat that's healthier, right? Or fake meat that's healthier than real meat.
Right.
And they make it taste better. And if they have not done it already, they're awfully close, right? And that's it. And then, I mean, there's no reason not to go plant-based, right? So
100%.
might as well hop on board now, guys. I mean, this is, oh man, this stuff is so good. I'm gonna try this one.
Go for it. That is a gnocchi mushroom.
Wild.
A gnocchi
Look at
mushroom.
This looks so wild.
I'm gonna go for, let's see here. We're gonna do a peanut avocado, man. This one is such a good combo. Get you a bite of this right here. Peanut avocado, yo. Oh, shoot. We gotta dip this in the soy sauce.
No, that's right. I keep forgetting that. Wow.
Oh, shoot.
That's so good, dude. So, wow. How long have you been vegan, Dawson?
I've been vegan for 5 years, or over 5 years. I used to do, you know, the bodybuilding thing, 5 meals a day, lots of protein, tons of animal protein, and after a while, it just started wearing on me, man. Digestion, mood, you know, all animal products contain cholesterol. The great thing about plants, no cholesterol found in plants, right? And so, also, it's just full of antioxidants, polyphenols. You know, it's healthy for you. Food either builds your immune system or, you know, it feeds disease. So it either feeds or fights disease, right? That's what they say. How's everything tasting, man?
It's tasting good, man. And you know, this is the thing. So if one of you guys randomly goes vegan, right, you might not be as healthy. But that isn't because of the vegan diet per se. It's because the lack of the knowledge about nutrition, right? A well-planned vegan diet, if you do the research, a well-planned vegan diet, I believe is definitely the healthiest, right? The issue is that people will go on vegan diets, they'll be lacking certain like nutrients and stuff like that because they don't have it planned out very well, right? Mm-hmm. And I think this is key that people understand this, and I think that this is really the direction that vegan influencers should begin to make people aware of. Because right now there's this vegan community and they're kind of shaming people for eating animal products because of morality, right?
Right.
And you know, it's not the best route. One, because morality is very subjective, right? I did a whole video on that with Cosmic Skeptic. You guys should check that out. But also because that's not how you get people to change. You don't get people to change by creating this hero-villain relationship. You do it by working together. And it's much more powerful to get someone to change by showing how that change will benefit them, right?
Right.
How are you going to get someone to change when there's nothing in it for them? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so I think we need to start teaching people that a vegan diet will make you feel better, will make you healthier, will make you live longer, and it's just awesome, right? And yeah, it's awesome too for the moral reasons as well if you're into that. But I think we need to start promoting it because people act selfishly, right? In fact, essentially everything we do is for our self-interest. I mean, even if we give to charity, why do we do that? So we feel good. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so I think we need to start appealing to that part of people, you know? And
I agree.
so, yeah, become vegan for selfish reasons. That's fine. Do it, right? And you'll find that at a higher level of consciousness, the duality between like selfishness and selflessness will actually collapse, right? So, for example, you go vegan for selfish reasons, then it ends up helping the rest of the world too. So there are things that you can actually do that are selfish, that are also selfless, right? And they can become one, and that's the ultimate, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, I think this is where food is moving to, just sustainability-wise, health-wise. You know, it'll just take care of a lot of issues that we're about to face, in the future. So it's just a good idea to get on board now, get ahead of the curve, and, vegan food is just going to get better. As the demand grows, the supply will grow, and it will get better. There'll be more companies investing in it. And, it'll just get tastier and tastier. They're going to get more realistic with the mock meats. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a variety of vegan seafood eventually. They're going to have vegan chicken. They already got the vegan beef. Y'all know Impossible Burger. Y'all know about the Beyond Burger. They got it all on the vegan beef, ground beef. They have it. that's just the beginning of an industry. So stay tuned for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also, see, there are multiple facets to pleasure. Pleasure is a complicated thing, right? So say you eat a steak. Tastes great, right? But there's always going to be something in the back of your mind saying, maybe it's not the most healthy for me. It has all the cholesterol, like all that, saturated fat. And so there's a part of you in the background that's kind of taken away from the pleasure. The cool thing about these vegan meals is not only just, I'm telling you, these mushrooms literally taste better than like their sushi equivalent, like their animal product equivalent. They're amazing.
Yes.
So not only is that temporary pleasure there, but also that fulfilling pleasure of, wow, this is like even healthier for me, right? And so it kind of doubles down on the pleasure. And so I'm in like bliss right now. This is like epic, right? And this
Absolutely.
And so pleasure is a very complicated thing, and all these different concepts intertwine with one another. And being vegan, it makes it so much better. Oh, and also, here was a really good point. So, I was telling people that it's better to, when you're trying to change someone's mind, right, or influence someone, it's better to show them what they're going to get out of it, right?
Correct.
And so this is actually one of the reasons that we're collabing. So tell them your whole mindset about like how you messaged me on Instagram, because I thought that it was extremely profound.
Oh yeah. So, look, people always want something from you, and especially when you're, have a big social media following like Connor here. I have somewhat of a social media following myself, so I understand it as well. And, people always want something out of you. Every time they message you, it's always like, what can I get out of this person? Because they want the fame, or they want your skills, or whatever they might want. And what I did with Connor is I just said, look, man, I'll cook you a vegan feast. I didn't ask for anything in return. I didn't ask him to put it on his YouTube. Didn't ask him to put it on his Instagram or anything like that. Wasn't expecting anything in return. I just put it out there into the universe and just let it come back to me. And that's what it is. It's just, that it's the law of attraction, right? To an extent. And then, it's just about being selfless. And like this whole feast took me 12 hours plus to prepare. I shopped at 4 different grocery stores, but this is what I love to do. And I share this with people that don't have social media followings or anything. Like, it's not about that. It's just about sharing good food with people and exposing them to some variety of flavors, new tastes, and really just I don't just cook meals. I make experiences.
I love it, dude. I love it. So yeah, most people when they're trying to collab with me, they're like, hey, let's do this collab or something. He reached out to me and just said, hey, I will feed you an awesome vegan meal. And I'm like, how am I supposed to resist that? Like, that's epic. He's gonna cook a meal for me, but like any meal I want, that's awesome. Didn't even ask for anything in return. And that's so powerful, right? When you put that pure selflessness out there, that when you act just out of like pure love like that, so many universal laws at work, right? And it comes back to you. Mm-hmm. So, and if I'm like, wow, like obviously this is a super cool dude, like let's put it on my channel. If he reached out and he was like, hey, let's film this YouTube collab and let's collab together, we'll film a YouTube video, I'll be like, so many people are asking me to collab, probably not, right? But because he was so selfless, I was like, yeah, this dude is obviously a really cool dude, and we had a great conversation earlier. Man, we've talked about so many deep topics, and spirituality and just deep stuff. And so obviously I knew he was going to be a cool dude, and so I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to film this stuff,
Awesome, man.
So
yeah,
things work like that. Yeah,
that's how it works, man. And that's a lesson to everyone watching. Like, don't always want something out of people. Give, and then you will receive, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think so. What is this?
So that is a fresh roll. It's got a variety of vegetables rolled up in there. Over the top, we got a king oyster mushroom ring.
So like the scallops, but yeah,
exactly,
awesome.
Just sliced thinner, and then spicy mayo on top. Right there, we got the Inari avocado roll.
So this is like a tofu, right?
That's the tofu pouch.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Cool. Wow. All right, geez, let's dig into this.
Let's do this, man. I think I'm gonna try this tempura, y'all. Let's see what's going on here. We got the sweet potato tempura. Take this to the dome, yo. And we got the tempura dipping sauce over here.
This is so good, man. Wow. Yeah, tempura, it looks so good. I'm definitely gonna have a little bit because, you know, I eat very, very clean, a very, very clean whole foods diet. But of course, it's cool to cheat every once in a while. But here's the thing. A lot of people think that cheating on their diet brings like balance to their life, right? But a lot of people do so in an unbalanced way. There's like a balanced way to cheat on your diet and then an imbalanced way, right? So, for example, I mean, relatively speaking, this veggie tempura is healthier than most people's like normal diet. You know what I mean?
100%.
So like this cheat meal is better than the average person's like normal meal. You know what I mean?
It's much better than like, you know, your steak and potatoes. Or
Right,
something
and
like
see,
that.
so you can be creative and actually find ways to incorporate these parts of culture that you like, but in higher conscious ways. So for example, like cheat meals, you can still cheat, but do so in like a healthier way, right? So there's all this type of culture hacking, right? So people are afraid when they start going like the spiritual lifestyle that they'll have to give up something about their culture. Well, no, you don't have to give up anything at all. You just have to do so in a different way. And so there are a lot of different examples that I'll probably think of later, but all sorts of different examples like this. But you just have to get creative, okay? You don't actually have to give up anything in life, maybe besides your egos. That's it. And everything else you can be creative and kind of find these awesome other solutions to.
Yeah, definitely. You know, when you go plant-based or whatever, you don't give up a thing. You just change things. Like you try new things. Actually, you gain a lot is what I think. So really it's an adventure. Treat it like a journey, like a new journey you're starting. Like you go plant-based, you're like, all right, what can I eat? At first it might be kind of hard. I remember I went to like Chipotle like every day when I first started because I just didn't know. But then I started researching and you get better at it, and as time goes on, I'm about 5 years in, abundance. I'm living life in abundance.
Absolutely, dude. See, I think one of the biggest reasons, I think a vegan diet is so good for gut health. And we're just now starting to realize how big gut health is, and really the biome of bacteria like on our body in general, right? And so we used to kind of look at, or we still do. I mean, most modern doctors still look at bacteria and viruses as kind of the enemy, right? But what we're starting to realize is that they're really our friends. It's really kind of our fault. Like we're being unhealthy, we're treating our body like trash, and so it's causing this imbalance in our body and is causing the bacteria to become more virulent and act in a negative way. And we should have it working for us, but it's our fault, right? With all these animal products can really kind of mess up your gut biome. And that's one of the main reasons why I switched to being vegan, is because I was dealing with a really bad staph infection that I had for like many years.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like 15 years I struggled with it, kind of like
Really?
a staph infection on my lower body. It was just like, it's like really bad, like think of really bad cystic face acne, but like even worse on your lower body that just doesn't go away.
I got that once. I did wrestling in high school.
Oh,
so
yeah, that can
I
happen.
got staph pretty bad once.
Yeah, and so I struggled with it for a long time, and I realized that it all came down to an imbalance of bacteria like on my skin. I mean, the bad bacteria was overpowering the good. And it's not just that, it's also the good bacteria actually changes the DNA of the bad bacteria. It works in such a complex way more complex than we think, right? And so good bacteria not only reduces the bad bacteria from the competition, but it decreases the bad bacteria's virality, right? And so when I went on the vegan diet, it completely healed my gut biome, and then simultaneously healed like my skin biome as well. And I did other stuff for it too. But that was like a huge driving factor of me having so much more healthy skin. And so there's so many more benefits to being vegan than we can possibly imagine. And all parts of health are so interconnected. I mean, when your gut's feeling better, your brain is feeling better, your mind is feeling better. They've actually done
better, everything.
Yeah, they've done studies where they'll switch out a good gut biome for a harmful gut biome in mice, right? And the mice with the harmful gut bacteria, they'll actually become more anxious. So they'll put the mice on a platform, and the mice with the bad gut biome will actually take longer to like jump off the platform, so it has like more fear. And so our bacteria this just shows the infinite interconnectedness of reality. These bacteria are literally us, right? I mean, if the bacteria control our personality, then they're intricately a part of us, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so what people don't realize is that the entire universe is you. And we're so interconnected with every single thing. It's just we haven't put it all together. We don't realize exactly how. but you are an amalgamation of every experience you've ever experienced, every person you've ever talked to. Every single thing in your life makes you who you are. And we forget this, and we think that we're separate from the universe, and this kind of stems, or this causes like a lot of our suffering. So yeah, I think it's super important just to recognize the infinite interconnectedness of all things. And not only is it extremely profound and mind-blowing, but I think it leads to a lot of good because you start seeing everything as yourself.
Absolutely. We're a part of this. We're a part of the universe. Like, everything is connected. So, if you're hurting someone else, you're hurting yourself,
Absolutely, yeah. I love it. That's why Jesus, and for those who might be new, I'm not religious at all. Kind of. I'm religious, but I don't let religious limit me, right? So there's a knowing of reality or God that you can have that goes beyond religion, right? For sure. Mm-hmm. But I look up to Jesus. I don't necessarily see Jesus as any more divine than anyone else. Jesus was just an amazing spiritual teacher. And what he said was, obviously he preached against sin, right? Mm-hmm. And he didn't just do this out of some selfish reason. Oh, don't sin because that hurts me. He did that to help you, right? Most of us are unconscious of this fact, but when we sin, it goes against our conscience, right? Which is different than our consciousness, right? It goes against our conscience, and it actually causes these negative effects, which actually cause internal suffering, right? And so you'll see that your happiness actually depends on the happiness of others. Everything carries this vibration. And say you're walking down the road and you see someone having a bad day. They're like crying or they're having a bad mood. Subconsciously, that's going to hurt your mood, right? That's sending this vibration, this negative vibration. And from a more like tangible level, I guess you could say, it's implanting kind of a negative thought in your mind. And then that'll cause your body to have a negative physical response. And it's just, and if this keeps happening, it's this negative feedback loop. And so your happiness actually depends on the happiness of everyone else. But most of us don't see it like that, right? They think that they can be selfish and take from everyone else and somehow find happiness. Well, you can ask anyone that's ever tried this. It doesn't work. There are billionaires out there that have got their money through selfish ways, and they have all that money, right? The thing that you guys think will make you the most happy, and they have a billion of those little things that you think will make you happy, but they're not happy. In fact, they're more miserable, right?
Mm-hmm. Money can often create more problems. So money definitely doesn't buy happiness. I feel like happiness comes within. It's an inside job. You know what I'm saying? So I completely agree, man. Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. Jesus said, I'm giving you guys all the Jesus quotes today. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within. We were having an interesting conversation about like the concept of heaven and hell earlier, which is really interesting. I've done like a video on this. People think that heaven and hell are these mystical realms, right? Well, no, they're states of mind. They're states of mind that are related to how conscious or unconscious you are, how much you are operating out of love or how much you are operating out of fear. When you understand the nature of reality and come to what Jesus would call like Christ consciousness or like God realization, you realize the nature of things, you realize that everything is one, you realize that you are the universe, and that it's essentially, it's this infinite dream that's going on here that can come with such profound liberation, and you realize that everything has meaning and everything is positive. Even these negative situations are all to give us context, right? You couldn't know what good is without bad. You wouldn't have a learning process if you didn't make mistakes. And so all this bad and all this evil is actually good from a wider perspective, right? And so once you kind of realize this, you see everything as good, and I would call that like the kingdom of heaven, right? And those who are still consumed by the ego, who are under the illusion that there's this separate sense of self, that they are separate from the rest of the world, and that comes with limiting perspectives that cause a lot of cognitive dissonance and suffering, I would call that hell, right? And so heaven isn't some other mystical realm. It's right here, right now. It's like it's a mindset. That's at least my opinion. A lot of different interpretations of it.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I honestly think like everyone's relationship with God is like their own. Like I feel like it's a journey, it's a learning experience. I tried to figure everything out in the universe at once, and like I just couldn't. Like it honestly sends you into you just can't figure everything out. So what you can do is just take information, let it pass through you, and observe it and learn from it. But trying to fully comprehend every little thing in the universe and God and our Creator sometimes is beyond our grasp mentally. So
yeah, man, absolutely. Well, here's the thing. And so there's this illusion of this thing called knowing, right? So knowing implies this subject-object duality, right? So I can know this fabulous piece of sushi because there's this illusion that I am somehow from the outside looking in, right? And I'm knowing this sushi. But especially, that's actually not the case, but especially when it comes to the wide scope of like reality, right? Or say God. God cannot step outside of itself and look at itself objectively because God is everything. God is itself, right? And so God can't know itself. God can't be the subject knowing some other object, right? That's all God is the subject, or that's all God is the object. It's just one thing, right? And so there's this being that's beyond knowing. At the most fundamental level, you are. You can't know yourself. You can only be yourself. And people get too entangled in thought, right? And, they just think thoughts that they've been indoctrinated into, societal conditioning, and, they don't think open-mindedly. I love how you said how, you've become so open-minded where you just take in this information, but with a completely open mind and just kind of let it pass through you and observe it rather than get attached to it. And that's really the key, right? So you want to take all this information that you've been given with a grain of salt and realize that it may or may not be true, right? The only thing that you really know is that you exist right here, right now, and there is this, whatever you want to call this, reality, whatever, even when I say reality, it's an abstraction, but there's this experience, there's this awareness, right? And once you start focusing in on that and let all your preconceived notions about reality diminish, you start understanding what it really is, right? So there are all these stories that you've been told by the scientific community, by religion, by your parents, by society. Why do you trust it? You know why? Like, seriously, because you've been told to by like other systems, right? So
yeah, exactly.
There's so many useful things that we can get from so many of these systems, but you have to realize that all these things that everyone tells us are these stories that may or may not be true. I mean, think about it. We are only, like, people are too attached to consensus.
You've been doing the Primasati?
Yeah.
Is that it? Primasati yoga.
Yeah, camera just cut off. I don't know what we're talking about. Let's talk about some Primasati yoga.
Yeah,
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
What's up with the Primasati?
Oh, man.
Tell the people what's going on.
All right. So, here's the bottom line. People need to meditate, okay? I just want you to imagine the world. If everyone had the peaceful state of mind as a Buddhist monk, world peaceful, right? I mean, there's a reason, right? With higher consciousness comes peace. It comes this non-resistance to reality, this acceptance of what is. All this evil, all this bad, all comes from this resistance to reality, right? Don't like it, want to be different, selfishness, right? Once you understand what reality is, your mind becomes peaceful, there's this tranquility, and it's so good, right? And so the Western world, it's so fast-paced, no one wants to meditate. Why? It's boring, they don't have time, okay? So I was like, how can I get people to meditate? How can I make the world a better place? But how do I get the Westerner, right? The Westerner with ADD, right? Because literally, like, everyone has ADD these days, you know what I mean?
We got very short attention spans.
Exactly, right?
Everyone.
So how do I get these people to meditate? It's like the hardest job ever. So I'm like,
It's tough. If you have never meditated, you just try it. You go 5 minutes and you're like, I don't know if I can keep doing this.
Exactly.
I get bored.
So I'm like, how do I get the average Westerner to do that? Well, what is the average Westerner like? Well, they like intimacy with a partner, of course. Everyone likes that. So, I knew some stuff about Tantra, I knew some stuff about pranayama, I knew some stuff about Kundalini, like all these different yogic practices, right? And so I kind of combined them into one in this thing called Primasati Yoga. So essentially, it's a meditation with a partner, but it's fun because there's a lot of intimate energy built up, right? With your partner, I mean, a lot of times you're sitting on each other's laps, you're doing these intimate poses, but you're focusing on each other's breath. So not only, you're gonna do it, right? Because it's intimate, right? And it's fun, it's this cool experience that you can have with a partner. So you're gonna do it, Not only that, but it's easier to maintain awareness. Okay, so you've tried to meditate before, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult, right? So like when you try and meditate, like what happens?
Well, it's really hard to quiet the mind, you know, especially like when you have a lot going on. But then like after a while you get in your thoughts, and then like honestly you just like you get bored because, well, personally, this is personal.
Yeah.
I find myself, I get bored because I'm thinking, what can I go do next to, like, you know, you're always looking for, everyone is always looking for their next serotonin boost, or, you know, pleasure experience, like a meal like this, or it might be a hot shower, or it might be a jog, whatever you derive pleasure from. Like, it could be any of the above, right? So I find it hard to, you know, dang, you can eat, bro.
I love this, man. I'm loving this meal. It's so cool. I'm in such bliss right now.
But yeah, it's tough, man. Especially but if you practice it, I think it gets easier. You know,
Yeah.
The more you practice meditation, the easier it gets.
Of course.
and the more benefits.
It's a skill just like anything. And yeah, the bottom line is most people sit down and meditate. They have what's known as monkey mind, so they try and concentrate on their breath or something like that. They start thinking other thoughts, they get frustrated, and they end up quitting, they end up getting bored, they want to do something else, right? With Prima Sada Yoga, not only are you not going to get bored, because it's like, first of all, like cuddling with a partner, like you would do that anyway. Like that's one of those pleasure experiences that you would want to quit meditation to go do.
Yeah.
But also, your attention is there more, because not only are you focusing on your breath, but you're focusing on your partner's breath as well. So I'll do this thing called like rainbow breathing, where I breathe out while my partner breathes in, and then the opposite. So we're actually focusing on each other's breath. Our breath is kind of becoming one, and the other partner is like holding you accountable, right? And not only are you concentrating on your own breath, but you're concentrating on their breath. And so there's these added kind of points of attention. And so it's harder to kind of go off in monkey mind. So I've done this Prima Sada Yoga with girls who have never meditated before, right? And they can actually concentrate on the breath for like minutes at a time. If you ask, it's incredible.
Synchronization.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely incredible, because if you were to take this girl and say, hey, just meditate, right? They'd be able to do it for maybe like 10 seconds before they forgot that they were meditating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with this Prima Sada Yoga, it's so powerful because they can continue that awareness for like minutes. I'm like mind blown when I do Prima Sada Yoga with these girls, because they can maintain awareness on the breath for so long. I'm like, obviously you've meditated before, right? And they're like, no, like I never have. I'm like, oh my, like you're doing.
You just meditated like a pro, girl.
They're doing something which normally it would take someone like a couple years to get to that level. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
I'm like, wow, this is incredible. So it's really just, it's a fast-paced route to like enlightenment. You know what I mean? Why do Buddhists meditate? This thing called enlightenment, whatever the hell that is, right? And obviously, no one knows what that is until
they reach it, I guess.
Exactly. But on the other hand, it's not even reachable because it's a never-ending process. But you can kind of get a taste for what it really is, right? Because it's something beyond language. It's something that transcends all knowing, all language, all thought. It's something so much deeper that it cannot be articulated, right? But whatever it is, and everyone's looking for it, right? Even if they don't know it, they are. Prima Sada Yoga is like, it's just kind of, in my opinion, it's the fastest way to get there, especially for the average Westerner, right? So Buddhist monk will sit there, meditate for like 20 years, right? In order to become enlightened. Or like, yeah, it sounds awful, right? Like to the average Westerner, that sounds horrible. Sitting in like a monastery, doing nothing, like being celibate, like for 20, it's horrible, right?
That's rough.
Or you can do this Prima Sada Yoga and have it happen a lot quicker and have fun while you're doing it, right? And then the cool thing is, actually, when you practice Prima Sada Yoga, you'll probably fall in love with meditation and actually just be able to meditate by yourself easier too. So I wish I had Prima Sada Yoga growing up. It would have made my process so much easier, much easier. But
it's a good way to connect, you know, with other people. Connection's, important. So
absolutely. I mean, the connection, that's one of the things that we're really missing. I mean, the dating scene is just completely lacking connection. It's so surface level. Oh man.
Everybody's on the apps. You just swipe.
It makes me.
It's very vain. It's very visually motivated, because it's like, oh, she's hot or she's not. You just swipe. It takes away from the genuine connection you could build with someone if you like meet them. Like, I met my girlfriend in a bakery, a vegan bakery. You know what I'm saying? I just walk in, I'm buying my usual, you know, some baked goods or something. I don't know what I was getting, kolaches or something. And yeah, she was just working the cash register. Most genuine, you know, universe experience ever. Like I just
That's wild, dude.
And we have so much in common. It's like I always tell people, if you want to find a girlfriend, like work on yourself, because then you work with the law of attraction. She'll come to you. You don't go looking on Tinder, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
wow,
that's power. I'm just gonna moment of silence for that.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's powerful, dude. Like, yeah, it's like, damn, what reality are you living in, dude? See, you have the universe working for you, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that
took me a while to start learning this stuff.
That's wild.
I learned the hard way on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's like out of a movie, dude. You know what I mean? Like just walking into a bakery and meeting your girlfriend. Yeah, and see,
my life is like a movie. Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, a lot of spiritual practices will like demonize things like lust. I don't demonize anything like that. I think everything is good. So there are places where lust is great. Like I love like lusting over girls and having those type of relationships too, right?
There needs to be some kind of visual attraction. Right?
Yeah, it's just a relationship of just lust is limiting, right? So all these different perspectives are very limiting, right? And so you should seek to add to them, but not do away with any of these old perspectives. And that's what I've learned, right? So I've learned that throughout this like enlightenment process, there's nothing that I really need to give up except like my whole identity, like my sense of self. I essentially just need to become non-attached. But in terms of the content of reality, there's nothing I really need to give up. Reality is actually extremely perfect, right? You just have to be creative enough to really put the puzzle pieces together. So I think that aspect of lust is still great, but it's even better when it can be combined with this sort of deeper connection, right? And that's really what Prima Sada Yoga does, because I do things like soul gazing, where I'll look into like the left eye. So the left eye is actually connected to like the right part of the brain, the more creative brain, the more spiritual brain, right?
You look into your own left eye?
No, so I look into the partner's left eye, and they look back into my left eye, right? And so it's extremely powerful because it's impossible to have an extremely like strong like ego, and especially through all this societal conditioning, when's the last time like you've just stared into a girl's eye, right? There's nothing inherently weird about it. Really?
Well, I have a girlfriend.
Yeah, right.
But yeah. For those that are single, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially like even a lot of people in relationships, like just eye contact makes people very uncomfortable because of like just societal conditioning, right?
That's true for sure.
And so you need to lower and drop your ego, right, in order to be able to stare into someone's soul like that. And it's very powerful, and it can be very uncomfortable, but that uncomfortableness is kind of part of the practice, right? And so that's a really powerful thing too. So this is where a lot of girls will not be able to do the practice so well. A lot of them are really good with breathing, but when they start looking to the left eye, I mean, they just immediately like start laughing. They can't do it. And this isn't bad. I never like hate on them. This is good, right? I love that, because that means that they need to do this practice even more, and that we're actually like boom, this is what we need to be doing. You know what I mean? So it's good. But it just kind of shows the uncomfortableness in this there. And so I'm all about expanding the comfort zone, because essentially this awakening process is really just the ultimate expansion of the comfort zone. I mean, think what is peace and liberation really? Just the ultimate comfort, right? And how do you get to that comfort? Well, you have to inch your way out of your comfort zone until everything is your comfort zone. Yes. So you have to be uncomfortable in order to get there.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And then you achieve, bliss, or shoot, at the very least, you'll achieve a lot of new experiences. And that's what life's all about. A lot of people just stay in their comfort zone, go to their job, come home, watch Netflix, order in, just very easy, stay comfortable. But, even it took me to jump out of my comfort zone to reach out to you. Because, I do food, like that's my thing. Like I cook feasts, vegan feasts, and I cook vegan meals. But Connor kind of does a different, he's in a different lane, you know what I'm saying? So he kind of does the spirituality thing, and you do a lot of things, right? So, it's all about getting out of your comfort zone, and once you do, life is so much better too, because once you sit in your comfort zone so long, it gets so boring too. So
that's the thing. It's like, people. It's so ironic. Like, people will not be satisfied with their lives, right? But then they expect their lives to somehow change by just doing the same thing over and over and over and over. And so there's a certain responsibility that you must take if you want, you to have a better life, right? And so
Definitely.
I'm all about getting out of my comfort zone. It's just so important, right? And so many people, it's such trash these days. It's not really trash. Everything is good. Everything is wonderful, right? It's all for a purpose. But it's so funny how the world is getting softer and softer and softer. People are getting more and more and more offended. They think that everyone should just be comfortable no matter what. They think that being offended is bad. Being offended is great. It's getting you out of your comfort zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's great. It's like, what?
People talk crap on my channel all the time. Like,
Yeah, like if I have a moment where I feel just a little bit of like uncomfortableness because someone says some comment to me, and it really doesn't happen anymore. Like I see past the illusion really quickly. I realize that it's just my kind of negativity that's projecting onto that circumstance, right? But when I see that, very soon after, I'm like, oh, like dope. Like I'm glad that the experience just happened because now that makes me more aware, right? And it turns it into a positive experience, right? But people are being so soft these days, and they're thinking that being uncomfortable is like bad, right? It's like, no, whoever told you that being uncomfortable is bad? Now, of course, there's a balance to this. You don't want to go and like walk up to someone and like punch them in the face. Oh, you're uncomfortable. Like that's good, right?
There's limits to it.
There's a balance to it because it's like there's an intricate balance because it's so. Think of like a kitten, right? So say there was a kitten that was abandoned and it couldn't process love, right? So there's this abandoned kitten that's been traumatized, right?
Never experienced love?
Never experienced love, out in the wild, was like attacked by coyotes or some I don't know, right? I don't mean to be too graphic, but the point is
ripped to shreds by coyotes. No.
If you try and love this kitten, right? If you try and pick it up and love it, it's gonna be traumatized, it's gonna scratch and fight, right?
We've all seen those videos, I feel like.
And so even though you're showering it with love, even though, to be honest, if I were to punch someone in the face right now, in a sense, everything is love because everything's like a learning process, right?
You're making me nervous, Connor.
No, but I won't because why? Because if you went and picked up that kitten, right, you're making it that uncomfortable even though you're giving it love. It's so traumatized, you're not going to benefit it, right?
Right.
So in order for you to benefit that kitten, you have to start out really slow and maybe give it a little piece of food or give it some milk and let it trust you and warm up to you, right?
Yeah.
So for example, if I were to go punch someone in the face, yeah, I made them uncomfortable, but they're just gonna, they're just gonna get, they're gonna hate society even more. They're like, this dumbass just came up and punched me in my face. You know what I mean? Like, wow, like this is gonna fortify my hate for society. You know what I mean?
People suck even more.
So the idea is to gradually, very slowly get people out of their comfort zone, right? Because that's how they grow. So it's something that it's just inching them enough where it doesn't like traumatize them, but it expands their comfort zone a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally get that. Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea. And so there's an intricate kind of like balance to that. And it's tough. It takes a while to master for sure. But at least from my ideas, I mean, I'm to the point where I try and be as uncomfortable as I can, like physically like handle it and mentally handle it. You know what I mean? And so a really easy hack that I do is like, I take cold showers. I do things like cryotherapy.
Really? You take a cold shower every day?
Every day. I haven't taken a hot shower. And also, it's good because a lot of toxins in the water, right? And when it's hot, it opens up your pores and those toxins go in your body.
That's actually very true.
Yeah. So cold showers are great. And I do all sorts of things to make myself comfortable. I do strong determination sitting, which I'll meditate in a specific posture and try and not move. And my legs will start to like hurt and get sore. And I'll try and like fight through the pain. I recently got, I've got a couple hair transplants in my life. I recently did a hair transplant without any anesthetic, or I did half the hair transplant with any anesthetic.
Oh my goodness.
And so I do all these things. Anytime that I can see something that makes me uncomfortable, I go for it. Like I want to do it.
And the cool thing is, I see that.
Now here's the brilliance behind it, right? So look, do you understand? Like obviously, I like this uncomfortableness, right?
Right.
So what happens when you like uncomfortableness? Then you're liberated, right?
Everything's comfortable, yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
You're
right?
free.
Exactly. And so that's kind of the epicness behind it.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Like anything, it's just practice, dude. Like that's why hopping in a cold shower is a good first step because you're training your brain to become okay with discomfort. You're tricking it, like you're going against its programming, right? Mm-hmm. And you're saying, hey, no, I like being uncomfortable. And so then when an uncomfortable situation arises in reality, you can look at it and be like, wait a minute, no, this is good. Like I like being uncomfortable because it's helping me grow, right? And so you can take that to the rest of reality and it's epic because then nothing can faze you. Like everything that makes you uncomfortable, this is good. Like everything just becomes good.
And that's a beautiful thing. Like, a lot of people live their life in fear, and it sucks, man. Like, I see people waste their life because they're just so in their comfort zone, so fearful of what might happen. But then they never know, like, you know, things, you never know what could happen if you go out of your comfort zone. If you face your fear head on, you know what I'm saying? That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and somehow there is a little mind hack you can do. The brain, it's so malleable. You can do anything to it. It's crazy. You can actually learn to like fear. And the weird thing is then when you like fear, it loses this certain sense to it. It loses its like pungency, right? And so you start experiencing fear in a different way. So you can still experience fear. Like people at high levels of consciousness, they'll still experience like some negative emotions. Some negative emotions will completely go away because some negative emotions are so driven by illusion, it's kind of impossible to experience them anymore. Such as like anger. I haven't experienced anger in a really long time.
That's good. That's good.
Because it's just like, how can you be angry when you know that everything is happening exactly how it's supposed to happen, right? Like, you know, it's just impossible to be angry. But sometimes, you know, negative emotions will arise like sadness, right? Mm-hmm. But you can reframe sadness in a way that seems so beautiful. So for example, people watch movies all the time purposely to make themselves sad. I mean, you know ahead of time going into a movie, like if it's going to be sad or not. A lot of the time. Like some people will literally go into movies. They say, this is a sad movie. I want a good cry. Like people say that shit.
100%.
And I'm like, okay, so you're purposely going into this movie to be sad. Yet when you're sad in reality, it affects you in such a different way. So you're actually enjoying the sadness in the movie, but in reality, you're not enjoying the sadness. Well, why? Why does it have to be that way, right? So obviously you're seeing reality for something that it's not. And you can realize that sadness is like this beautiful thing. You know what I mean? And you can reframe it to where sadness is actually positive. And then it takes on, it's a whole new animal now, this sadness. It becomes something different. It's something like really good. And so this can happen for all these different emotions. So all these different emotions are no longer negative per se. It's like all emotions are positive with a capital P. And then they have this relative positive and negative, rather than this illusion that each emotion is either absolutely positive or absolutely negative.
I see. So you just don't assign it. You don't assign positive to a certain emotion or negative to a certain emotion.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like every emotion's neutral.
And it's not like that simple, right? Like it's practice, you know what I mean? Like you can't just say, oh, I'm just going to decide that sad is positive. No, you have to really examine the feeling of sadness arise, right? So you watch it arise and then question it. Be like, okay, why is that negative? You'll notice that no circumstance in reality is actually negative. It's your relationship to that circumstance, right?
Yes.
Right? So anything happens. I mean, something horrible, I don't know, your girlfriend breaks up with you or something. That situation itself is not inherently negative, but your relationship to it. You're like, oh, this is bad because this and this and this. I've been taught that this is bad. All these Disney movies taught me that this is love and that this hurts so much when this happens, blah, 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 blah. It's all these stories that you tell yourself, right?
Right.
And so you can reframe it and say, whoa, this feeling of loss is beautiful. Like if this happened in a movie, I would be like so into it and so immersed in it. You know what I mean? Like this is an amazing feeling that helps me like feel alive. You know what I mean? And you can completely reframe it into something very positive. So I can't really experience any emotions that I don't see in that way. And it's so cool. Like the worst things could happen to me. And I've prepared for this. I've prepared for the worst possible scenarios, dude. And I've played it over and over in my mind, right? This is like practice. This is kind of my shadow work that I do now, right? I imagine the worst scenarios possible. I picture them in my mind and I prepare for that and like how I would react. And I can actually truly see the worst situations that I can imagine, right? And this takes guts, actually digging down, like what's the biggest fears that you have, right? So I've dug down into these fears and really examined them and saying, okay, what do I really not like about these fears? And I came out of it realizing there's just nothing actually negative about it. I mean, the worst stuff could happen to me and there's just nothing inherently negative about it, you know? Like even the worst pain you could experience, there's something beautiful about it. There's something, I mean, for example, pleasure and pain, they're one and the same. They're two sides of the same coin, right? Or should I say like pleasure and discomfort, right? So what is pleasure really? You could actually define pleasure as the cessation of like discomfort, right? So for example, we couldn't enjoy this if we weren't hungry.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we didn't have that discomfort of being hungry, where would the pleasure come in? It wouldn't exist.
Right. You gotta be hungry to enjoy it, right?
Exactly. So this discomfort is pleasure. Like it's one and the same thing, right? And so you can actually reframe these, like this discomfort as this fundamental part of pleasure. And that makes it really cool. You know what I mean? So now when you're feeling hungry, because, in there, you were kind of worried because like we were taking a long time. You were like, damn, like he's probably hungry. I'm like, nah, dude, like this is epic because this hunger is gonna make the meal even better. You know when I was saying that? Like
Absolutely.
I meant that, yeah.
100%. Yeah, man. Too much pleasure is pain, they say.
That's very true too. I mean, yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, what happens if you just experience pleasure nonstop, right? Without any discomfort whatsoever? It just stops becoming pleasure. You know what I mean? This is just how our brains work. I mean, if you had all this sushi, and say you have unlimited sushi forever, and you never let yourself not get hungry, you can't experience the pleasure again. You see that? Unless you allow yourself to get hungry, you cannot experience the same experience that you had when you were hungry and then ate that food. I noticed this big time after my 40-day fast, right?
Yeah.
That first meal after not eating for 40 days
probably tasted really good.
It was a full body, euphoric, almost like psychedelic experience, dude. Think about not eating for 40 days and having the most juicy, sweet piece of like watermelon. It was incredible. My whole body was like tingling and vibrating. I was like, do you see the more discomfort you experience, like that leads to more pleasure.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, food just hits different when you haven't eaten in 40 days, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know how you did that. I tried fasting like a couple days, and third day I'm like, I gotta eat something. But I mean, respect, man. That's crazy.
And again, I mean, it boils down to I like making myself uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Because after that, it's pretty obvious that it changed me in a certain way. Most people would say it's bad. I say it's of course good. I say all change is good. But like obviously I'm so much more resilient to negativity. All right, well, battery just cut out for the second time, so we're gonna wrap things up. But we have a little bit of sushi left. I'll be honest with you.
I'm stuffed.
It's gonna be close. I'll eat a little bit more, but you're probably right. I'm not gonna finish quite all of it, but it's close, dude. I mean,
dude, you have put down some sushi, man.
Dude, it's just been such an epic experience, man. I mean, I don't know what could be a better experience than this. My first real sushi meal after going vegan, a real sushi meal, and obviously having this incredible conversation. So
this is something money can't buy. Restaurants don't serve this. This is only in the Emo Plants official kitchens.
Absolutely. So guys, make sure to go follow Dawson. He's awesome. Obviously, as you can tell, he's an extremely like highly conscious individual as well. So yeah, go follow him. Link to everything will be in the description below. And dude, just thank you so much again for inviting me over and having this conversation. This has been an incredible conversation that I guarantee you it will age very well. You know, not a lot
100%.
of people, probably not a lot of people on my channel will really understand what we're talking about, but
it might just not process it first, but later on.
I'll make a prediction, all right?
Okay.
I'll make a prediction. By this summer, I think they'll understand. So,
by this summer.
Summer. That's my prediction. Could be wrong.
You guys need to all raise your consciousness, man, and then you'll understand.
Hell yeah. But also, wherever you are right now, it's all part of the journey. So love where you're at. Love everything. Everything's dope. Everything's awesome. Life is dope. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.